Shalom, brothers and sisters. Now, you might have heard this before if you were studying eschatology, end times, then you will know about the 2,550 days. It's one of a couple of different numbers given to us in the book of Daniel, specifically Daniel 12, verse 11 to 12. And it's mentioned in connection with biblical prophecy of the end days, particularly in context with Daniel's 70th week. 69 weeks have been completed, a 70th week remains. That week we know as the Tribulation, the final 7 years. It's a significant timeline related to end times and fulfillment of everything, God bringing the whole plan together. So a lot of times we like to take those numbers, those days, and work it forwards, backwards, and calculate as we should. We should be encouraged to dig and have a look. An interesting thing is, firstly, according to the Essene calendar, if you're following the Essene calendar, Rosh Hashanah is today, 16th and the 17th of September. So it's today. That is according to the Essenes. According to the Jews of our age, it is on the 22nd to the 24th of September. So nightfall across, 22nd till the 23rd, 23rd till the 24th. So even though it sounds like 3 days, it's 2 days in Jewish thinking carrying across. Now, if you take 2,550 days and you use your date calculator and you add them physically to the date of Rosh Hashanah, 22nd September, the start date, you end up on Yom Kippur 2032. That will be on the 15th of the 9th, 2032. It works out beautifully. And it brings to mind scriptures like, in the end of the tribulation, they will look upon him whom they pierced, and they will wail as one wails for the death of a firstborn. And they will say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. At Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, would be an awesome time for those sentiments and feelings to be really raw and in their hearts at that moment. So it's really exciting that those things add up very nicely with 2,550 days. And what that is a calculation that we sometimes do to try and figure out tribulation timelines. We can't figure out where the rapture is. God could pick us up at any moment, but we can try and calculate where the tribulation could fit nicely in a 7-year period. Tabernacles obviously is on the 6th to the 13th of October. Now the reason I bring up Tabernacles in this as well is, if you haven't seen it yet, you can go to YouTube and search Dr. Thomas Horn 2025. And he made a video, and I think it's around 2019. I'm staying under correction. I've watched a couple of versions of it, where he was always pushing the Apophis narrative, saying that he had this revelation that Apophis is biblical wormwood. And he takes the date that they then in 2019, they've since changed the date a few times, but in 2019 they gave a date for a potential impact of Apophis on earth. And he takes that date as to happen in the midpoint of the tribulation. That is when it should occur. And then he works back minus 3.5 years. And the Jewish scholar in the studio with him uses his app, pulls it all the way through, and goes completely bleak. And he says, what's wrong? And he says, it falls exactly in the center of Feast of Tabernacles 2025. It's a 7-day feast with an 8th day. There's a whole discussion that I can get into around the amazing and incredible Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. But on that middle day, he says, they pray and celebrate and cry out to God thanks for their deliverance, and specifically from Apophis. And on that day, counting 3.5 years, he arrived at the date that NASA then said Apophis would hit, which I think is the date I would trust, not the ones they've since changed because they're trying to lie and they're trying to divert attention from incoming Apophis. So again, what was exciting and interesting for me, and that is the whole point here, is back in 2019 already, before he even died, He was saying 2025 is when everything is going to begin. At some stage here, the tribulation should start. Now, if the tribulation starts in the middle of tabernacles, that allows for a short gap between tabernacles and Rosh Hashanah, if the rapture were to happen on Rosh Hashanah, so all of that works out perfectly. It's really interesting. It's really exciting. But at the same time, I tell people this to get them excited, to look up, to see what's going on in the world. And there's so much going on in the world. And I'll be touching on this in various videos. But we see how crazy it is. We see how everything has ramped up. We didn't think it was possible for things to get worse than it is at the moment, for things to be more intense, for spiritual attacks to be more powerful. But we see it on a daily, hourly basis, just ramping up to the point where we're saying, how much longer can this bubble hold before it bursts, before something happens? Because the Bible tells us there is a restrainer that is restraining. And when the restrainer is removed, sudden destruction, everything's going to be let loose. Those people trying to push that nuclear button are suddenly going to be pushing them. People cannot begin to imagine the chaos this world and the darkness this world will descend into at the exit of the bride of Christ. It is unimaginable, which is why I encourage you and cry out to you to take that Great Commission seriously. Share the love of God with those around you. Speak love out there into this hatred, light into this darkness. Make a difference while you can, because we could be leaving at any moment. Encourage one another. Help one another where you can. Even if it's not a lot that you can do what you can. The Lord can multiply. The Lord can continue watering seeds that you plant. The Lord can continue the plan that He has already purposed. We just need to be willing participants in the work of the field. And what a privilege it is to be alive in a time such as this. Pray for one another. Encourage one another. Help one another. Carry one another's burdens. Preach the gospel. Share the light. Show that there is a way. One way, only one way. And make Him known. Know Jesus, draw closer to Him, and make Him known. God bless. Shalom.